Hi, everyone. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to see you all, but I can only see myself. So if you have a question, I don't know if you can share your screen or type it in the chat. Happy to keep an eye on the chat as we go through. So this is a little bit of a longer session. As I mentioned before, we've had success in multiple, we've had success in multiple industries, and food and bev is something that we're diving into with 2 feet, really interested in this market and have some interesting stuff to share today. Our solution is unique in the sense of modularity, scalability. We heard Jason mention pay for performance hardware as a service models. That's exactly what we're up to. It's offering customers flexibility for modular solutions. This is an example of a Swirltex system operating on a sewage lagoon for a small municipality. And this system is irrigating a field and a golf course. And so we operate through late spring to late summer, and in the late summer, the golf course needs a lot more water than they do in the spring. So it's modular, it's pay for performance. The customer doesn't have to buy a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment. They can rent it for when they need it, where they need it. We operate in ultrafiltration mode. So for those who know what a membrane is, it's like a high-tech filter with tiny microscopic holes that allow water to pass through but keep contaminants behind. So our filter size rejects viruses, bacteria, and suspended solids. So very, very clean water coming out the other side. We use an age-old membrane technology in the tubular configuration. So imagine a straw and the water passing through the walls of the straw through those tiny holes. What we do differently is a proprietary process called Buoyancy enhanced membrane filtration. So it's a 2-step process. We inject gas bubbles at the right pressure, size, and volume to manipulate the contaminant that we're targeting. And then we swirl the water through the tubular membrane. These 2 things together create an interesting effect where your contaminants are now channeling away due to centrifugal force from the spin, but you're also scouring the membrane surface with that high velocity at the membrane surface. All of this means basically more for less, so fewer membranes for the same flow rate or higher flow rate and less energy. And that's really critical when you're building small modules to have a small footprint. Our team consists of experts from the water industry. We're mostly based in Calgary, Alberta, but we have a board member in Chicago, and we have a couple of staff down in the south in California and Texas, where we see our growth, a really exponential growth benefits in the future for that market, where it's very, very dry and water reuse isn't a nice to have, it's a must have. Here in Canada, we do it, but we have these beautiful flowing rivers. So we're really focused on geographies where we must reuse water. So our applications in this market, oily water filtration is a great fit. We reuse water for irrigation. We augment existing infrastructure. A lot of these companies already have infrastructure in place, like clarifiers, or in the dairy industry, you see a lot of DAFs, dissolved air flotation systems, but they might be underperforming as these companies start to scale, or seasonally underperforming. And so Swirltex can come in and augment what's already there. So the customer can reuse what's happening already within their infrastructure, but they don't have to pay for more equipment, they can just rent. Our equipment looks like this on the outside and the inside. So modular systems, fully automated, remote controlled. We can control them on our cell phones. That hardware as a service model and in optimizing manpower is absolutely critical. We work really well with lagoons, which are pretty prevalent in the industry. Clay has a question about biggest technical challenge with your membrane. Yeah. So one of the biggest technical challenges that we're facing with our membrane system is the fibrous solids. So when we bring in a fibrous solid, like for example, like a hair from an animal or something like that, we have to screen that upstream of our membrane system. And because what we do is we create a swirl, but the swirl generating device can hold up some of those fibrous solids. So that's something in the ag industry that we're looking at a little bit more deeply, is what do we need upstream of the Swirltex membrane to make sure it doesn't clog. So that's one of the biggest technical challenges. Another technical challenge is understanding when there's a dissolved constituent that we need to bring out of solution upstream. So if it's dissolved, it'll pass through the membrane like a dissolved metal. And so some of our customers need upstream pre-treatment for metal removal as well. And that's a picture, that last picture there is that lagoon treatment project I was telling you about earlier. So yeah, I talked about business model with respect to cost per volume, cost per cube, or cost per rental services. It's a hardware as a service model. How do you propose to raise the capital for the rental fleet to scale operations given the high capital risk? Yeah, so we offer basically an upfront fee to our customers that helps pay for the capital cost. We also don't do free piloting, so we pay for our capital costs in a payback model. We sign 60-month deals with our customers, and so, or multi-year deals if we're doing a seasonal play. And so the idea is to get a payback, an attractive payback within 1.5 to 2 years, and then the assets paid off for the remainder of the contract. And as we share infrastructure between customers, utilization becomes really important there. Yeah, no free pilots. That makes my job harder though. So how do we compare to other techs? We actually work really well with other techs, like dissolved air flotation, media filtration, other types of filtration that customers already have. Sometimes we take a slipstream so that, say their clarifier is underperforming, we offset the load and we say, okay, give us 1,000 cubic meters per day, and then your clarifier is back on spec, and we can polish that water and give you a really ultra pure clean water to use in a cleaning process or a cooling tower, for example. So it really depends on the customer's needs, but the modular solution, plug and play, is the name of the game for us, for sure. Any other questions? One of the cool, I'll just note, one of the cool projects that's coming in next week to our lab is a kombucha factory in California. And they have a really interesting wastewater that we're going to play with. And then the idea is to reuse that water for cooling towers. And so they want to get their water footprint to as close to zero as possible. And we're seeing this trend in the ag sector. We're seeing this trend in the food and beverage sector. We're seeing customers look for alternatives to become a water neutral or net zero water company. We're seeing it in cosmetics, et cetera. So we're trying to hop on that trend and offer solutions to these types of customers. Side note on the dairy industry, we're not looking at manure per se, like livestock water. We're looking more at the dairy processing, so that milky wastewater that comes off, and they pay surcharges to cities. Yeah, currently, are you seeing more opportunity? Yes, we haven't yet filed patents in Europe, and some of the biggest milk processors are in Europe and New Zealand, actually. So we're very interested in piloting with those companies in the future, but largely in counties like LA County, down in Los Angeles, Texas, Arizona, where we're seeing a large concentration of food processors, not a lot of water is absolutely where we're going to be focused in the next 6 months for sales. So yeah, US is where Swirltex is going to scale the most. We're doing our early stage projects here. With respect to where we're at on an investment cycle, we closed around in March, but we're looking to start our Series A in August. And so it'll be a $5 million A round. We're looking for partners on the equity side for that. So give me a call, or here, I'll put up my email or information if you want to chat through next steps for us for that. I think that's it. Any other questions? I can't see you. I wish I could, but I can't. All I can see is the chat. Yeah, it is. It depends. So it depends on how readily available. This is a question about oil and gas. So oil and gas in Canada, we have a ton of rivers and streams. Water is free. They get a temporary diversion license. But in geographies like California, where they have 90% water cuts, meaning 90% of what comes out of the hole is actually water, and they have nearby nut farms, it makes a lot of sense to go all the way to beneficial reuse, we call it in the industry. So we're absolutely a part of that treatment train for that. The economics are the issue. So we're getting very, very close in the economics. We're working in produced water. Actually, that's one of our first commercial scale customers is an oil and gas producer. So yeah, I think the future will see produced water being reused for ag. I'm really excited about that. Technology exists. We just need to get the economics to where they need to be. Good question. it's starting to become more and more viable to reuse wastewater in almost every industry, which I'm really excited about. Some customers are interested in it just for the PR and the ESG factor. Other customers are realizing, wow, it's affordable and it's actually saving me money. Yeah, Karen's excited too, all about water reuse. Karen and I are looking for ways to work together all the time. Thanks, guys, for your attention. I really appreciate it. And please connect with me. Another good place is LinkedIn to follow us, where we overpost. So please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn to see lots of posts of what we're up to at Swirltex.
Great. Thank you so much. And please head over to the main stage for our keynote speaker. And thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.